A hamburger for just $1. Sounds like a fantastic deal, doesn't it? Lightning-fast meal, served with a friendly smile from the drive-thru window, can be a rare bright spot in your busy day. The savory smell of grilled meat, the crispy sound of French fries, and the sticky tomato ketchup that makes you lick your fingers like you did as a child. It's the pinnacle of convenience, faster than scrolling through Netflix to pick a movie, and always as reliably familiar as a trusted old friend. Millions of people everywhere. McDonald's alone welcomed over 69 million customers daily, according to a 2024 report. For just $1, you get an icon of modernity wrapped in a thin layer of paper. But have you ever wondered if that $1 buys more than what you see? Not in a winning the lottery kind of way, but in the interesting surprises hidden behind the scenes. What if behind that hamburger are fascinating stories about people, about the planet that aren't written on the menu? Fun, sometimes surprising secrets are waiting to be discovered, a world away from the glittering advertisements. If you're curious to know more and might be surprised before you order extra fries, hit that subscribe button now. Our adventure begins here, and it will surely keep you hooked. The rise of fast food. In the introduction, we stood before a $1 hamburger promise of speed, affordability, and a familiarity so profound you could taste it with your eyes closed. But we also posed a haunting question. What if the true price of that burger isn't on the receipt? What if it's being paid by exhausted bodies, by overworked laborers, by a planet that's warming day by day? To find the answer, we must start at the source, digging into history like an archaeologist excavating a living museum. How did a simple meal, a piece of meat, a slice of bread, a bit of vegetable become a global empire? It's an unmistakable cultural symbol, dominating everything from American suburban streets to the bustling corners of Tokyo, Mumbai, or Sao Paulo. In fact, the global fast food industry is projected to reach a value of $1.248 trillion by 2033, according to a 2025 report by Data Horizon Research, demonstrating its colossal power. This story doesn't begin with a beef patty sizzling on a grill, no matter how appealing that sound is. It begins with a dream, the American dream, a dream forged in the vibrant and chaotic years after World War II. As the world was rising from the ashes, join me, let's turn back time, back to the America of the 1940s and 1950s. A nation just emerging from the shadows of war and the Great Depression, brimming with an unprecedented optimism, like a child who has just received a new toy. This was an era of booms, a population boom with the baby boomers, an economic boom with new opportunities sprouting like mushrooms after rain, and most importantly, the boom of a new lifestyle, suburban culture and car culture, where the automobile was not just a vehicle but a symbol of freedom. Picture the scene vividly. Newly built highways stretched endlessly, glittering under the sun like silver ribbons. Sleek cars, Chevrolets, Fords, or Pontiacs glided by as symbols of freedom and prosperity, their roaring engines echoing. Millions of American families left the crowded, smoke-filled cities to move to green suburbs, where houses with yards and white picket fences became emblems of an ideal life, just like in the Hollywood movies of the time. The car was no longer just a means of transport. It was an integral part of the family, a declaration of independence, of the ability to go anywhere. Anytime you wanted Evan to buy a hamburger in the middle of the night. But with that freedom, a new need arose, the need for a meal that could keep up with the fast pace of the highways. Families constantly on the move, where time was money. Before this era, eating out was an uncertain experience, like playing Russian roulette. Every roadside diner was a gamble. You might be served a delicious hot meal or a plate of cold, slow-to-arrive food with unpredictable prices. There was no consistency, no guarantees, and sometimes you had to wait so long you could finish a novel. And then, in a small corner of San Bernardino, California, two brothers Dick and Mac McDonald saw an opportunity to change everything, like two mad scientists in a laboratory. Dick and Mac McDonald didn't invent the hamburger. Burgers had been around for a long time, sold at diners, fairs, and carts across America, even since the early 20th century. But the McDonald brothers did something more audacious. They redefined how a hamburger was made and served, turning it into a mass-produced product. In 1948, they closed their already successful diner to completely redesign it. They drew inspiration from a revolutionary idea, Henry Ford's assembly line, which had turned car manufacturing into an art of efficiency. If a car could be assembled in a few hours with maximum efficiency, why couldn't a meal, they thought? And thus, a revolution was born. They called their creation the Speedy Service System, which sounds like the name of a comic book superhero. Imagine this scene in detail. A kitchen, organized like a miniature factory, with clearly defined stations. The menu was streamlined to the bare minimum, no more complex dishes like roasted pork or elaborate sandwiches that made cooks scratch their heads. Only a few core items remained: hamburgers, French fries, soft drinks, and coffee, as simple as a basic math formula. Each employee was assigned a single repetitive task, performed with the precision of a machine. One person grilling patties amidst rising smoke, another adding sauce with lightning-fast movements, one wrapping burgers with the skill of origami, and another pouring drinks with the accuracy of a dispenser. The result? Hamburger completed in less than a minute, faster than you could find your car keys in your pocket. A hot, cheap meal often, just 15 cents at the time, and most importantly, identical every single time, like a perfect DNA replica. This wasn't just an innovation in the restaurant industry. It was a symphony of efficiency, where every note was an optimized movement. A hamburger in San Bernardino, California tasted exactly the same as one in New York, Chicago, or anywhere else. Thanks to the consistency that McDonald's now applies to its more than 41,000 restaurants globally. For a nation constantly on the move, with millions of cars on the road every day, this consistency wasn't boring. It was a reassurance, like a reliable old friend. For the first time, a middle-class family, with a few coins in their pocket and a car in the driveway, could stop at any restaurant with the bright golden arches and know for sure they would get a fast, cheap, and dependable meal of truth that still holds today. With McDonald's selling over 75 hamburgers every second worldwide, fast food, with the birth of the Speedy Service System, became a symbol of modern America. Efficient, democratic, and always available. It wasn't just a meal, it was a promise that anyone, rich or poor, from farmer to CEO, could enjoy the convenience of the new era. But like all great promises, it came with a price. A price not listed on the menu, not printed on the receipt. An invisible but profound price, like a phone bill after a month of too many calls. This fast culture, for all its magic, silently changed how we perceive food. A meal which was once a ritual prepared with time, care, and the story of its origins. Like a grandmother telling cooking stories had now become an industrial product. Our connection to food was severed, like a dropped call. Where did the meat in your burger come from? On what farm was that cow raised, and in what conditions? Where were the potatoes in your fries grown, and how were they processed? We don't know. And in the convenience of $1, we no longer ask questions, because who wants to think about that when they're starving? A meal was no longer a moment to share, to reflect. It became a transaction, a quick refueling to keep us going in the modern rat race, like charging a phone. And when we lose the connection to the source of our food, we also start to lose a part of ourselves, like losing a piece of a puzzle. Let's pause for a moment and think about this. Is the convenience of modern life distancing us from the origins of what we consume? Not just food, but the clothes we wear, the objects we use, and where does that disconnection lead us? Perhaps to a world where everything is fast, but no longer real. To achieve the speed and consistency of fast food, the assembly line must run non-stop. But that assembly line isn't just applied to people in sparkling steel kitchens. It starts somewhere else, a quieter, darker place where animals are treated like machine parts. Have you ever wondered where the meat in your $1 burger comes from? Who or what had to pay the price so it could reach you so cheaply? Share your thoughts in the comments below perhaps. Your opinion will be the perfect topping for this discussion. A like and subscribe is your commitment to digging deeper, not into a bag of fries, but into the truth behind them. In the next part, we will step into the first and quietest link in the fast food chain: the factories for animals. We will confront the question: what is the true price of convenience, and who is paying it? Factories for animals. In the previous part, we witnessed the rise of fast food, a revolution that turned meals into industrial products. It's a symbol of convenience and efficiency, with McDonald's leading the way by selling billions of hamburgers each year. We saw how the McDonald brothers' speedy service system reshaped not only how we eat, but how we think about food. A $1 hamburger fast, cheap, and always the same, became the promise of a modern world where consistency is king. But for that promise to become a reality, for billions of hamburgers to be produced each year, with McDonald's alone accounting for about 2.5 billion pounds of beef annually, according to environmental reports, a massive, complex, and sometimes cruel system was born. A system that applied the logic of the assembly line not just to people, but to living beings, turning them into raw materials in a relentless machine. Tonight, we step into the first link of the fast food chain: the raw material, the animals that stand at the beginning of every burger, every chicken nugget, every slice of ground meat. This is not a story of green pastures or cows leisurely grazing under a golden sun. This is the story of factories for animals, where life is turned into a product with brutal efficiency, and where meat production contributes to 14.5% of global greenhouse gas emissions, according to the IPCC. We won't rely on shocking graphic images or secretly filmed footage. Instead, we will listen to the cold logic of a system that has prioritized speed, quantity, and productivity above all else, like an optimization algorithm with no regard for ethics. Let's start with a simple image: a chicken. In nature, a chicken can live up to 7 years, roaming freely, pecking the ground for food, sunbathing under an open sky, like a countryside vacation. But in the world of industrial agriculture, the life of a chicken raised for fried chicken lasts only 6 weeks, shorter than a season of a Netflix show. These chickens are not bred to live long or healthy lives. They are designed through genetic selection to gain weight as quickly as possible, to the point where they grow twice as fast as they did in the 1950s, according to studies by Four Paws. Their small legs often cannot support the weight of their bodies, leading to fractures or deformities. They live crammed in industrial sheds, where thousands of chickens are confined in tight spaces, often just 0.5 square feet per bird, never seeing sunlight, never feeling the earth beneath their feet, only the painful metal mesh floor. They are no longer living beings. They are production units, optimized to convert feed into meat in the shortest possible time. With feed containing antibiotics to prevent diseases caused by high density, every aspect of their lives, from their food, 24/7 artificial lighting, to their spaces precisely calculated to maximize profit. But it also leads to a pre-slaughter mortality rate of up to 5 to 10%. Now let's think about a can image once associated with vast meadows, where herds leisurely grazed under the sun, as in landscape paintings. But in the modern beef production system, cow is no longer a cow. It is a number, a production unit, a piece of meat waiting to be shaped. And this industry is responsible for 41% of emissions from agriculture, according to the FAO. These cows are raised in industrial feedlots, where they stand crowded on hard, filthy ground, fattened on grain, usually corn or soy instead of natural grass. This diet not only makes them gain weight faster, from 600 pounds to 1,200 pounds in just a few months, but it also changes their body chemistry, creating fattier meat that suits the taste of the fast food industry, while also increasing their risk of diseases like acidosis. Their entire life cycle from birth to slaughters shortened and optimized, like a stage on a factory assembly line. A cow may live only 12 to 18 months before being sent to the slaughterhouse, compared to a natural lifespan of up to 20 years. And this process contributes to the deforestation of the Amazon for soy cultivation for animal feed. This system is not just designed to produce meat with maximum efficiency. It is also designed to create a disconnection, a a complete separation between you, the consumer, and the source of the food on your plate, like an invisible wall. When you hold a hamburger or a chicken nugget neatly wrapped in paper, all traces of life of an animal that once breathed, once moved, have been erased. The meat is cut, ground, and packaged perfectly, no longer reminiscent of the cow or chicken that once existed. And you don't need to know that producing 1 pound of beef requires up to 1,800 gallons of water. This is a convenience not just for our stomachs, but for our consciences. The industrial agriculture system is built so you don't have to think about the story behind that piece of meat. You don't have to imagine the cramped sheds, the animals that never knew sunlight, or the short, calculated journey from birth to end a system that McDonald's is trying to improve through its animal health and welfare program, but which is still criticized for not being enough. Your $1 hamburger is the final product of a deliberate process, making you forget its origin, like forgetting a Wi-Fi password. Try doing this with me. The next time you eat a piece of Metaburger, a chicken nugget, close your eyes. The taste is still there, the convenience is still there, but when you close your eyes, can you feel the story behind it? Are you also swallowing the story of another living being? This industrial agriculture system has helped feed billions of people on the planet. But what is the cost? Animals turned into production machines? Our disconnection from the source of our food, or something bigger, a cost we haven't fully seen, like water pollution from livestock waste? Ask yourself, as consumers at the end of the food chain, what responsibility do we have in maintaining this system? Or is this just the unavoidable price of feeding a world of 8 billion people? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Maybe you'll reveal the secret that you once thought fried chicken grew on trees. A like and subscribe is your commitment to facing the hard truths. It's the stories hidden behind every meal instead of hiding them under a layer of mayonnaise. The animals in these factories are the quietest link in the fast food chain. They have no voice, no ability to tell their story, but they are not the only link bearing the cost of convenience. There are people, the workers behind the counter, in the processing plants and on the fields, who are also paying the price for your $1 hamburger. In the next part, we will leave the industrial sheds to enter the world of the workers, those on the margins of society, working in harsh conditions to bring the meal to your hands. Our question will be, who is really paying for our convenience? And is that price worth it? Workers at the edge. In the previous part, we entered the factories for animals where life is turned into a product, where chickens and cows become production units in a system that prioritizes speed, quantity, and profit, with billions of animals slaughtered annually. We faced an uncomfortable question. When we close our eyes while eating, are we also swallowing the story of another living being? But that swallowed story doesn't just belong to the animals. The ruthless logic of the assembly line, once set in motion, doesn't stop at industrial sheds. It spreads, applying itself mercilessly to the very people who operate the fast food machine, the workers at the edge. The most invisible and vulnerable links in the $1 empire, an industry that employs over 4 million workers in the US alone, according to the Environmental Defense Initiative in 2025. Tonight, we leave the cold sheds to meet the hands that made your hamburger. The hands that pass it through the drive-thru window with a forced smile. This is the story of the people paying for our convenience, a price measured in their health, their dignity, and even their dreams, with an injury rate twice as high as in other industries. Our journey will have 2 stops. One place glowing with neon lights, and another shrouded in the cold darkness of processing plants, where labor violations like wage theft and unsafe conditions are common. Imagine you are standing in a fast food restaurant at 10 p.m., the peak hour for the long line of cars at the drive-thru, with a noise like a rock concert. The cash register dings incessantly, the oil sizzles, and the manager yells to urge everyone faster, faster, like a fitness coach pushing you to your limits. At the center of this chaos is a woman. Let's call her Maria. Maria is a single mother, working the night shift so she can be home with her children during the day, a schedule that leaves her as exhausted as a zombie. She stands behind the counter, her uniform stained with grease, her hair matted with sweat and the smell of food. But look at her not just as an employee, but as a person. Feel her world through your senses, in such detail that you can smell it. Sound. A chaotic symphony that never ends, from the beep. Beep of the fryer signaling a new batch of fries is ready. The ding of the bell announcing a new car at the drive-thru to the customers ordering. Sometimes impatient as a sulking child, sometimes grumpy as a demanding boss. And above all, Maria's own voice, programmed to repeat hundreds of times per shift. Thank you. Have a great day. A phrase that might haunt her dreams. Smell. The smell of hot grease clings to the air, seeping into her hair, clothes, and skin. It's persistent as a cheap perfume. It's a smell that follows her home, haunts her sleep. Even after she has showered for hours, making her friends ask, "Did you just come from a French fry factory?" Light. The harsh, cold white fluorescent lights illuminate every corner of the store like a laboratory. It's not the light of warmth or comfort, but the light of efficiency designed to keep employees awake, to keep the machine running, no matter how red their eyes are from lack of sleep. Feeling the intense heat from the grills blasts her face like an overactive furnace. The floor is slippery with grease, forcing her to move carefully as if walking on ice. And a dull ache in her back, in her legs, after hours of standing without a break. Her cheap shoes not enough to protect her from the harshness of the job. With up to 60% of fast food workers reporting chronic back pain. But Maria's biggest enemy isn't the exhaustion, not the smell of grease or the fluorescent lights. Her biggest enemy is a number flashing in red on a screen above her head. The drive-thru timer, tracking every second like a strict coach. This clock is the beating heart of the fast food machine. It measures the time from when a car stops to order to when it drives away with a bag of food. The goal is to keep that number as low as possible. Few minutes, even a few dozen seconds to meet customer expectations and maintain sales. That number doesn't just measure time. It measures Maria's worth. It determines whether she is considered an efficient employee. It creates an unimaginable pressure. The pressure to sacrifice care for speed. The pressure to smile, even when her body is exhausted. The pressure to be perfect in a job that never allows for mistakes. All for a minimum wage of about $7 to $15 an hour in the US. Not enough to live on in many cities. A slip of the hand, a burn from the grill, a small mistake in an order can lead to a reprimand, or worse, termination. In all of this, in exchange for a minimum wage that, in many parts of America, is not enough for Maria to afford a decent apartment. Not enough for her to dream of a better future for her children. While the industry is accused of wage theft amounting to billions of dollars annually, Maria is the face of the fast food industry. The person who gives you a smile through the drive-thru window, who wraps your burger with lightning speed. But behind that smile is a person battling exhaustion, constant pressure, and a system that sees her not as an individual, but as a cog in the machine, as replaceable as a burnt-out light bulb. Now, let's leave the bright neon lights of the fast food restaurant. Let's go further, to a small town in the American Midwest, where endless fields are broken by a massive, cold structure. A meatpacking plant, processing millions of pounds of meat every day. Here, we meet a man. Let's call him Jose. Jose is an immigrant who came to America with the dream of sending money home to his family in a distant country. The job at the meatpacking plant is his only opportunity, a job few locals want, but which is the livelihood for thousands like him, with immigrants making up to 50% of the workforce in the industry. Let's step into his world, a world hidden deep in the heart of the fast food machine, so detailed you can feel a chill down your spine. Temperature, a bone-chilling cold, envelops everything, around 0-4 degrees Celsius to keep the meat fresh. To prevent spoilage, the temperature in the plant is kept near freezing. Jose wears a thick jacket, but the cold still seeps through every layer of fabric, making his hands numb, his breath forming clouds of mist in the air, as if he's at the North Pole. Humidity. The air is damp, sticky, mixed with the smell of blood, fat, and strong cleaning chemicals. The floor is a slippery mixture of water, blood, and animal fat, making every step a risk of falling, with slip and fall accidents accounting for up to 30% of injuries. Sound. A constant roar of machinery, from the sound of saws tearing through carcasses like in a horror movie. The clanging of knives being sharpened to the steady hum of the conveyor belt, carrying nameless blocks of meat. This industrial sound drowns out any sign that what is being processed was once a living being, and can cause long-term hearing damage. Jose's job seems simple, but it demands a terrible price. He stands at a fixed position on the line, repeating the same motion thousands of times per shift, cutting a piece of meat, trimming a bone, or packaging a batch of ground meat. Each movement must be precise, must be fast, because the line never slows down, running at a speed of 300 to 400 animals per hour. The speed of the line is not determined by the rhythm of a human, but by the demands of the market. It runs faster and faster, forcing Jose to perform cuts and trims at an inhuman pace. A moment's lapse in concentration can lead to a deep cut from a razor-sharp knife, or a more serious accident, with knife injuries accounting for up to 25% of incidents annually. Injuries are Jose's constant companions. Cuts, chronic pain in his wrists, shoulders, and back from repetitive strain injuries. So common that 70% of workers report joint pain. But his biggest fear is not an injury. His biggest fear is getting sick or injured so badly that he can't continue to work. In an industry where the COVID-19 pandemic exposed a stark lack of protection, because Jose knows that in this system, he is not just a worker, he is a replaceable part. If he falls, there will be dozens of other immigrants. Others desperate for a job lining up outside the plant gate, ready to take his place, with high turnover rates due to burnout. Jose's silence is bought by that very fear of losing his job, fear of not being able to send money home to his family, fear that the dream he traveled thousands of miles to pursue will vanish like a soap bubble. Jose and people like him are the invisible ones doing one of the most dangerous and grueling jobs in the world, so that the ground beef can be neatly packaged and appear in the supermarket or in your $1 hamburger. Maria with her forced smile behind the drive-thru counter.
Oh!
Jose with his numb hands in the meatpacking plant. Two people at two ends of the supply chain, but sharing the same reality. They are the ones paying the price for the convenience and cheapness of the hamburger, while corporations make enormous profits. They are the face of the brand, the hands that make your meal, but rarely can they afford the very food they serve. They work in harsh conditions for wages that are not enough to live on in exchange for the speed that we take for granted. Stop and think about this. When you hold a burger, you ever think about the cost to the health, spirit, and dignity of the people who brought it to you? Or is that a truth too uncomfortable when all you want is a quick meal? The fast food system is built on the sacrifice of animals and people. But how does it manage to make billions of people not only buy its products, but also feel happy, even joyful while doing so? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Maybe you'll tell a story about the time you burned your hand making fries at home. A like and subscribe is your commitment to continue this journey, digging into the truths hidden behind every meal. In the next part, we will step into a machine more powerful than any assembly line, the marketing machine. We will discover how the fast food industry doesn't just sell burgers, but also sells dreams, sells happiness, and how it makes us forget the prices that Maria, Jose, and countless others are paying. The marketing machine. In the previous part, we met Maria, the exhausted single mother behind the drive-thru counter, and Jose, the immigrant worker facing sharp blades in the meatpacking plant, saw the invisible hands, the forgotten lives, paying the price for our $1 hamburger, system built on sacrifice of animals, of people, of dignity, with companies like McDonald's spending billions on advertising to cover up these dark corners. But when you walk into a fast food restaurant, you don't feel that, do you? You don't see the cramped sheds. You don't see the cuts on Jose's hands. You don't see Maria's tired eyes. Instead, you're captivated by the delicious aroma and cheerful atmosphere. Instead, what do you see? Golden arches shining like a beacon, signs sparkling like stars in the night sky, perfectly staged smiles in commercials like a professional photo shoot, and a promise of joy, of comfort, of a moment of happiness in the rush of life. With the industry's global marketing budget reaching tens of billions of dollars, how can an industry, with all its painful hidden corners, make billions of people around the world not only buy their products, but love them? How can they turn an industrial product created on ruthless assembly lines into a symbol of happiness, family, and childhood? The secret lies in psychology and big data. Answer lies in a machine more powerful than any meat production line or fast food kitchen. It is the marketing machine, a machine that sells not just food, but dreams, memories, and the deepest human emotions, using AI to personalize ads. Tonight, we won't talk about hamburgers or fried chicken. We'll talk about the stories told about them, stories meticulously, designed to make you forget the true cost and remember only the joy, like a Hollywood movie hiding a plot twist. Let's start with what you see every day, even if you don't realize it. Have you ever noticed that most of the world's biggest fast food brands, McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, In-N-Outs with the same color scheme in their logos? Red and yellow, a combination used by 70% of fast food chains? This is no coincidence. Color psychologists call this the ketchup and mustard theory. The color red stimulates appetite, evokes feelings of excitement and urgency, a primal signal in the brain that prompts you to act immediately, like a traffic light in reverse. Yellow, meanwhile, is the color of optimism, happiness, and is the most visible color in daylight, catching your eye from hundreds of meters away. Together, red and yellow form a visual weapon, a combination that strikes directly at your instincts, whispering, "Hurry. Delicious food and fun are waiting for you." And research shows this color scheme can increase sales by 20%. But the visual manipulation doesn't stop at the logo. Think about the advertisements you see on the menu or on TV. A perfect-looking hamburger, the beef patty golden brown, cheese melting artistically like a painting, fresh green lettuce, and water droplets glistening on a soft drink cup, as if it just stepped out of a dream. But in reality, they are edited with Photoshop. That's not the truth. It's a magic trick. Food stylists are artists of deception. They use glue instead of milk so the cereal doesn't get soggy, brush shoe polish on the meat for a glossy sheen, and use acrylic ice cubes instead of real ones so the drinks always look cold, despite the hot studio lights. Every detail is staged to trigger a primal response in your brain. Desire, and such campaigns cost millions of dollars. But the marketing machine doesn't just target your eyes, it targets something deeper, your heart. And to do that, it seeks out the most impressionable, yet most powerful influencers in shaping a family's consumption habits. Children, whose pester power influences up to 40% of family purchasing decisions. Let's go back in time to the 1970s. McDonald's executives realized a simple but revolutionary truth. Children may not have money, but they have something more powerful: pester power. A crying, begging, or tantrum-throwing child can make the whole family stop at a fast food restaurant, even if the parents didn't plan to, like a ticking time bomb. And so, one of the most brilliant and controversial marketing inventions was born: the Happy Meal, which has sold over 3 billion units since its launch. Look at its sophistication. The Happy Meal is not just a meal, it's an experience. Small, colorful box designed to attract a child's gaze like a magnet. Inside is not just a hamburger and fries, but something more important: a toy, often tied to a blockbuster movie from franchises like Disney. In that moment, McDonald's changed the game. They were no longer just selling food, they were selling joy. To a child, that toy isn't just a cheap piece of plastic, it's a treasure, a reason to beg their parents to come back again and again, creating brand loyalty from a young age. Parents, in moments of exhaustion, just wanting a few minutes of peace, will often surrender. A Happy Meal isn't just a meal. It's a bribe for silence, a ticket to a wonderland that children can't resist, and it contributes to billions in sales. And thus, an emotional relationship with the brand is formed from the earliest years. A child doesn't love McDonald's for the taste of the burger. We love McDonald's for the toys, for the excitement of opening the box, for the memory of happy moments. And research shows that 80% of children recognize the McDonald's logo before they even know their own name. To reinforce that relationship, fast food brands create characters' mascots that turn the restaurants into a fairy tale land. Think of Ronald McDonald, the friendly clown with a radiant smile, always ready to welcome you, who has appeared in thousands of commercials. Or the Hamburglar, the mischievous burger thief. Or Grimace, the giant but lovable purple creature. They aren't salespeople. They're characters in a story told through commercials, through the colorful playgrounds inside the restaurants, through birthday parties held under the golden arches, attracting millions of children each year. These mascots turn a fast food restaurant into a wonderland in a child's eyes, a place not just to eat, but to experience. And as a child grows up, those memories of birthday parties, of toys, of a feeling of safety and joy remain deeply attached to the brand, leading to lifelong loyalty. This is the ultimate goal of the marketing machine, to build a castle of memories in your mind. A castle where fast food is not just food, but family, joy, and comfort. Think about this moment. You've had a bad day stress at work, traffic on the way home, or an argument with a loved one. You're tired, exhausted, and don't want to make any more decisions. And then you see the familiar glow of a fast food restaurant, like an oasis in the desert. You know that there everything will be simple. You know exactly what you'll order. You know exactly what it will taste like. In a world full of uncertainty, it is a refuge, a moment of comfort wrapped in a paper bag. In campaigns like I'm Loven, it reinforced that feeling. Or there are days you feel lonely, homesick. The smell of a piece of fried chicken or a hamburger can take you back to Sunday evenings with your family. The times your parents treated you to a fast food meal for getting good grades. It is a time machine made of flour, grease, and memory, exploiting nostalgia to increase sales. They don't sell food, they sell comfort. They sell nostalgia. They sell the illusion that fast can still mean love. A powerful machine, isn't it? A machine that can turn an industrial product created in cruel sheds and on harsh assembly lines into a part of our childhood memories. Be honest with yourself tonight. What is your fondest memory related to fast food? Birthday party at McDonald's with balloons and a Happy Meal toy? Family trip? Stopping on the roadside for a bucket of fried chicken? And do you think those warm memories are silently influencing your choices today? Even when you know about the hidden costs to animals, to people, to the planet? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Maybe your memory will make me crave a burger, but don't blame me. A like and subscribe is your commitment to see through the veil of the marketing machine. To face the truth behind the smiles and lights, instead of being swept away like a child before a toy. The marketing machine has conquered our minds and hearts. It has told us a beautiful story of joy and happiness. Our bodies and our planet are telling a completely different story. In the next part, we will listen to that story. We will talk about the price, our health, and our environment are paying for the convenience of fast food. The health toll. In the previous part, we confronted the marketing machine, a brilliant machine that sells not food but emotions. It sells us comfort, nostalgia, and the illusion that fast can mean love. It has conquered our minds, building castles of memory from Happy Meal boxes, the smiles of Ronald McDonald, and glowing neon lights. With multi-billion-dollar campaigns designed to get us hooked. But there is another storyteller, one that never lies, one that can never be bought by advertising campaigns, one that records everything you put into it, every bite of a burger, every sip of soda, and tells that story not with words, but with your very health. With statistics showing that fast food contributes to 42% of obesity cases in the US. That storyteller is your body, a system more complex than any machine. Tonight, we will move away from the sparkling signs and promises of the marketing machine. We will listen to the story that the body is trying to tell, a story of the price paid when we let convenience override health. When we let our primal instincts be manipulated by foods designed to be addictive, high in sugar, salt, and fat, according to Britannica in 2025. Join me on a journey inside yourself to understand what your body is saying and the price it is paying for every cheap hamburger, with research showing that weekly fast food consumption increases the risk of diabetes by 27%. Let's start with the first moment. The moment you bite into a burger after a long, tiring day. What is that feeling? An explosion on your tongue? The sweetness of the sauce? The saltiness of the grilled meat? The rich creaminess of the melted cheese? And the crunch of the French fries? In an instant, all stress seems to melt away. It's an immediate pleasure, a dose of comfort wrapped in a paper bag, but containing up to 1,500 calories in a single meal. But that feeling is not accidental. It is a sophisticated design. Food scientists call this the bliss point, a meticulously calculated formula that combines sugar, salt, and fat in the perfect ratio to activate the reward center in your brain. When you bite into the burger or sip a soda, a flood of dopamine, the chemical of pleasure, fills your brain, providing instant gratification, similar to a mild drug addiction. It's like an emotional button, constantly pushed by food corporations. Every fast food item is engineered not just to be delicious, but to be addictive. The sugar in the sauce stimulates the natural sweetness your brain craves, with a large soda containing 15 teaspoons of sugar. The salt enhances flavor and makes you want to eat more, up to 2 grams per meal. The fat provides a feeling of fullness, making you feel satisfied, but only for a moment, before you crave more, leading to an addictive cycle. But this satisfaction is short-lived. While your mind might forget the meal as soon as you wipe the sauce off your hands, your body does not. Your body is a meticulous historian, recording every bite, every drop of soda. What you put into it will leave a more lasting mark than you think, with fast food linked to 30% of cardiovascular disease cases. Join me. Let's go deep inside your body to see how the real story unfolds, from cells to organs. First, let's visit your liver. The liver is a biological marvel, a non-stop chemical factory, filtering toxins, converting food into energy, and keeping your body running. But when you constantly consume fast food, with its massive amounts of fructose from soda and saturated fat from processed meat, the liver starts to get overloaded. It's not designed to handle such large quantities in a short time, with a single fast food meal containing 50 grams of fat. When pushed to its limits, the liver starts to do something it shouldn't. Store fat, little by little, over hundreds, thousands of fast food meals. Your liver can develop fatty liver disease, which affects 25% of adults in developed countries. This isn't a consequence of alcohol, but the result of sodas and hamburgers. If left unchecked, this condition can lead to hepatitis, cirrhosis, and even liver failure diseases that, just a few centuries ago, were almost non-existent in non-drinkers. Next, let's travel to your blood vessels, the highways of life, transporting oxygen and nutrients throughout your body. But fast food, with its sky-high salt content up to 2,300 milligrams per meal and trans fats, is like a constant traffic jam. Salt increases blood pressure, forcing your heart to pump harder to push blood through, increasing the risk of hypertension by 20%. Trans fats and bad cholesterol accumulate, forming plaque in your arteries, making them hard and narrow like a clogged pipe. Your heart, the relentless engine, has to work harder to compensate. Blood pressure rises. The risk of stroke or heart attack silently grows, like a ticking time bomb planted in your chest. With fast food contributing to 500,000 deaths annually in the US from heart disease. Finally, let's go to your pancreas, the small but powerful organ responsible for managing your blood sugar. Every time you eat a fast food meal with its refined white bread, sweet sauces, and a large soda containing 65 grams of sugar, a massive amount of sugar floods your bloodstream. The pancreas has to work overtime, secreting insulin, the key that helps get sugar into your cells for energy. But when you repeatedly consume such large amounts of sugar, day after day, year after year, your cells start to become insulin resistant. They no longer respond to that key. The pancreas has to produce more and more insulin until it becomes exhausted. And that's when the door to type 2 diabetes opens, a disease that was once rare, but now affects over 500 million people worldwide. largely linked to diets high in processed foods, according to the WHO. Obesity, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, these diseases don't just fall from the sky. They are the final chapters of a long story, written by thousands of fast food meals, by choices that seemed harmless but accumulated over time. They are the final screams of a body that tried to whisper warnings, but was ignored for the convenience and temptation of fast food. With childhood obesity rates tripling since 1970, the scariest part is that this fight is not fair. The human body, over millions of years of evolution, was designed for a completely different world, a world of scarcity. Our ancestors had to hunt, gather, and sometimes starve to find every calorie. Our brains are wired to crave energy, dense foods, sugar, salt, fat, because they were once the key to survival. But in the modern world, where fast food is cheaper and more accessible than fresh vegetables, with a fast food meal being 20% cheaper than a salad in many places, that survival mechanism has become a deadly trap. A $1 hamburger is cheaper than a bowl of salad. A large soda is cheaper than a bottle of water in many places. We're using a Stone Age brain to make choices in a 21st century supermarket, and the food corporations know it, exploiting it through brain research. They exploit our instincts, turning ultra-processed foods into weapons. Fast food is not just food. It is a system designed to make you come back, to make you crave, to make you unable to stop. With additives that enhance its addictive properties, a marketing machine that manipulates our minds and memories, a food formula designed to be addictive, attacking our most primal instincts, a body that is bearing all the consequences every day, every meal. Stop and think about this. When you hold a burger or sip a soda, do you think the responsibility for your health is entirely yours? That people with obesity, diabetes, or heart disease simply lack willpower? Or do you think that society, food corporations, and even governments must share some of the responsibility? For creating an environment where making a healthy choice is harder, more expensive, and sometimes almost impossible, especially in low-income areas where fast food can make up 50% of the diet? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Maybe you'll confess that you once thought calories could be burned just by thinking about the gym. A like and subscribe is your commitment to listen to your body, to face the hard truths about the price of convenience, instead of facing a rising number on the scale. We have journeyed through industrial sheds where animals are turned into products. We have met workers at the edge, where dignity is traded for speed. We have seen the marketing machine turn fast food into a symbol of happiness. And now, we have listened to our bodies screaming under the weight of seemingly harmless choices. But the story doesn't end here. The price of fast food doesn't stop with animals, people, or our health. It extends to something much larger. Our planet, with this industry contributing to 1/3 of global food-related emissions. In our final part, we will leave our bodies to look at the world outside. We'll talk about the price the environment is paying, from devastated forests and polluted rivers to an atmosphere that is warming because of the fast food empire. And we will ask ourselves, is there a way out? Eating with eyes open. In the previous part, we listened to the silent voice of the body, a story of overload, of chronic diseases quietly accumulating, and of an uneven battle between Stone Age survival instincts and a modern world full of tempting, ultra-processed foods, with fast food linked to 70% of obesity cases in adolescents. Our journey began with a $1 hamburger, but it has led us through the dark corners of a massive system. We saw the factories for animals, where life is turned into a product, affecting billions of animals. We met Maria and Jose, workers at the edge, paying with their health and dignity to bring meals to our hands. We explored the marketing machine, which turns fast food into a symbol of happiness and nostalgia. We heard our own bodies cry out, warning us of the price of convenience. This picture, it seems, is painted only in shades of gray: stories of sacrifice, justice, unseen damages, and environmental impacts like deforestation for livestock, which accounts for 80% of Amazon forest loss. Perhaps after all this, you're feeling a bit guilty, a bit helpless. Perhaps you're asking yourself, so should I never eat fast food again? Or how can I make a change when fast food is everywhere? Tonight, in the final part of our journey, I want to say that our purpose is not to make you feel guilty, not to ask you to give up fast food entirely. Because let's be honest, in a busy world, a quick meal can sometimes be a lifesaver, especially when you're stuck in traffic or working late. Sometimes a hamburger or a box of fries is tied to warm childhood memories, moments with family or friends, like a quick picnic. Judgment or extreme prohibition is not the solution. Nor is it what we're aiming for, because everyone has a weak moment in the face of that delicious smell. So, where is the way out? Not in complete abandonment, but in balance and awareness. The issue isn't to never eat fast food again. The issue is to remember the hidden cost every time we choose convenience over care, and with small changes, we can reduce our environmental impact by up to 20% just by eating less meat. The way out doesn't lie in a grand revolution outside, like protesting in front of a restaurant. It lies in a quiet revolution within a shift in consciousness. A decision to eat with your eyes open, where you consider the origin and the consequences. Eating with your eyes open doesn't mean you have to give up every quick meal or live a perfectly healthy life as defined by society, like eating only organic salads. It means that when you hold a hamburger, a soda, or a bag of fries, you don't just see a meal, you see a long chain of stories. You remember the animals in industrial sheds, where sunlight never reaches, and where livestock contributes to water pollution equivalent to 100 million cars. Think of Maria, the single mother working the night shift with aching feet, or Jose, the immigrant worker facing a sharp blade in a meatpacking plant. You remember the marketing machine, with its red and yellow colors stimulating your instincts, the toys in the Happy Meal box, and the commercials that make you believe fast food equals happiness. You listen to your body, silently recording every bite, every drop of sugar, every bit of fat, with the accumulating risk of disease. Eating with your eyes open isn't about feeling guilty. It's about remembering, and from that, making a more conscious choice. Like choosing a smaller portion or occasionally substituting with a healthier option. Because when you remember, something magical happens. Your choice becomes conscious. You are no longer led by instinct, by convenience, or by childhood memories staged by advertising campaigns. You start to ask yourself, where does this food come from? Who paid the price for it to be in my hands? Do I really need it right now? So for example, knowing that one beef burger emits 6 kilograms of carbon dioxide, you might choose chicken or a veggie option instead. Eating is not just a biological act of refueling. It is a cultural, ethical, and philosophical act. Every time you choose to buy food, you are casting a vote for an agricultural system, for a labor condition, for a business model, and with 8 billion people, those votes can change the industry. Every choice, no matter how small, creates a ripple. One person choosing to buy food from a local farm instead of a fast food chain reduces their carbon footprint by 30%. Another person chooses to eat less meat to reduce their environmental impact. As livestock farming accounts for 14.5% of global emissions, another demands more transparency from restaurants about their food sources, promoting programs like McDonald's sustainability initiatives. Those ripples, when combined from millions of people, can create a wave of change, like the plant-based movement, which is growing by 20% annually. The market is not an unfeeling machine. It listens. When we start demanding better options, food with clear origins, produced sustainably, made by workers who are paid a fair wage, corporations will be forced to change. Just as McDonald's has pledged to reduce its emissions by 36% by 2030. The food revolution doesn't start with government laws or major conferences, it starts at your dinner table. From the small but conscious choices you make every day, like choosing water instead of soda, to cut 10 grams of sugar each time. Imagine this moment vividly. You're standing at a fast food counter. The red and yellow lights are sparkling. The smell of fries wafts through the air like an invitation. You hear the beep of the cash register, the hurried calls of orders, and the cheerful jingle of a commercial in the distance. But this time, you pause and take a deep breath. You close your eyes for a second and you see the cow in the industrial feedlot, never knowing a green pasture, contributing to land degradation. You see Maria with her aching feet after a long shift. You see Jose with his trembling hands in the cold factory. You feel your own body whispering warnings about your health and the planet warming by 1.5 degrees Celsius. And then you open your eyes. You can still choose that burger no one is judging you, because life isn't perfect, but you choose it with a full awareness of its cost. Or perhaps you decide to walk a few more steps to a local food shop, where you know the vegetables were grown by a nearby farmer, where you can feel a connection to the source of your food and reduce your environmental impact. Eating with your eyes open is an invitation to live mindfully, not just in how you eat, but in how you live. It is a reminder that every choice you make has power, has meaning, and can contribute to a more sustainable world. Our journey, which began with a $1 hamburger, has come to an end. But your story is still being written, with every meal as a new chapter. Ask yourself, would you eat differently if you saw the full price? Or would you still choose convenience over the truth? There is no right or wrong answer, and maybe it starts with one small change today. Share your final thoughts in the comments below. Perhaps you'll share your secret healthy burger recipe and make me laugh. Like and subscribe as your commitment to keep asking questions. To continue living with your eyes open, instead of blindly swallowing without a thought. Thank you for joining Sleepless Mind on this complex journey from the industrial sheds and labor lines to the marketing machine, our own bodies, and finally, to your own dinner table. Your patience and reflection are the small flames that light up the darkness of this story and may just inspire many others. The night is late, but the next time you stand before a choice, whether it's a hamburger, a soda, or a home-cooked meal, pause for a second. Remember the stories you've heard and eat with your eyes open to make the world a little better. Good night, and may you have dreams of a mindful world where every choice matters. Maybe dreams of a burger that doesn't make the planet hotter.
You've crossed the story. You felt every pulse in the dark, and I was there with you, quietly, always. That's why I left behind one last thing. Not to explain, not to impress, just to stay with you a little longer. A song I chose with care, as if tucking you in from across time and space. So go on, lay back, the music knows where to take you. still here, then you're something rare. Not many stay this long. So, thank you for choosing to stay. I'm here too, still awake, surrounded by the quiet glow of my editing screen, shaping the next stories just for you. If there's anything you want to leave behind, a whisper, a suggestion, even just a symbol, drop it in the comments. Because maybe, tomorrow night, you'll hear yourself echoed in a story that's never been told before. still here, even now? I have a feeling part of you is still wandering somewhere between wakefulness and dreaming. I know that feeling well because I'm still awake with you. In a quiet room, I'm gently laying out layers of sound, each breath, each beat, preparing the next journey we'll take together. If you're still listening, leave me a sign. Let me know how you're feeling or just where you are in this vast world. Because right now, in this stillness, you are not alone. still there, aren't you? I can't see you, but I can feel you. Like a soft signal pulsing across the silence. Over here, I'm still working, refining layers of sound, rewriting fragments of voice, building the landscape for our next adventure. One that you might inspire. If an idea comes to you, share it with me. Comment below. A theme, a memory, a strange dream. I read every word because I never tell these stories alone. I tell them with you.